Hey, Ringette, Ontario. We are just waiting for a few more of you guys to get on. Hope everybody is doing well. I know this is the first time we've asked a lot of you to join us on YouTube. We're actually really excited about this. Today we'll actually be joined by Claire Wyville, who will be telling us a little bit about her experience as a multi-sport athlete, being an NCAA athlete, and getting to play really big games in Ringette. And then at 3:30, we will be re-airing or rebroadcasting the 2019 U19 National Championship Game with Team Ontario taking on Team PEI. So be sure to stay tuned. And I am going to invite Claire on right now. Hey, Claire.
Hi.
How's it going?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us today for an episode of Team Talk. I'm really excited for this.
Me too.
Awesome. So let's just jump right into the questions. Claire, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you kind of, what your Ringette career has kind of been like, I guess.
Okay, so I'm Claire Wyville. I am from Guelph, Ontario. I played Ringette for Guelph and in Alora Fergus as well, and I played AAA. And I was lucky enough to play for Team Ontario at the Canadian Ringette Championships and at the Canada Games. So I go to school at the University of Memphis, and I play soccer there as well, which unfortunately I don't play Ringette anymore. But yeah, like Ringette has definitely been a huge part of my life, and I got my inspiration from my sister. And yeah.
That is awesome. So how long have you been playing Ringette for? Like, when did you start?
I would say I was about 4 when I started skating.
Wow. And you're going into your second year of university.
Yeah, I'm going to my sophomore year.
Well, pretty much your entire life. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, okay. I grew up watching my sister. So she is 8 years older than me. So I obviously wanted to be just like her. And so I watched her play Ringette and basically just wanted to be like her.
Oh, that's awesome. And so do you remember your first time getting on the ice, whether it was like through a learn to skate or like bunnies? Like, do you remember your very first time getting on the ice? What was that like? And why did you decide to keep playing Ringette after that?
I don't remember my very first time, but I do remember one time I went for like a free skate with my sister. And, you know, when you're a kid and you want to sit on the chair and have someone push you around. And I loved that. And I loved skating. And I think I just fell in love with Ringette the first time I played, and I was pretty good at it, so I kept playing.
Yeah, so you were sold after that. That's awesome. And so you did mention that you actually currently play soccer at the University of Memphis in the States. Yeah. So I would presume that you, growing up, you have always kind of been a multi-sport athlete. What sports did you play other than, I guess, soccer and Ringette? And why were those the two sports that kind of stuck for you?
Like I tried baseball and stuff, but I was never very good at it. And then soccer, I feel like soccer is the one sport every little kid tries, and I loved it. And then I actually I played like an outfield player for a long time because I'm actually a goalkeeper now. I started being a goalkeeper when I was around 10, and not sure my mom loved it, but I did. So I continued with that. And I mean, you wouldn't look at me and think I'm a goalkeeper. I'm a scorer in Ringette, so it's kind of ironic sometimes to think of it like that. But yeah, I never wanted to choose. I loved both sports so much, and I think they both helped me like learn lessons that I could carry into the other. Yeah, and like made me into a competitive athlete.
Yeah, that's so important. I think one of the things that I often hear in conversations with a lot of like parents is that they kind of want to put their kid in a sport where they're seeing the ROI, the return on investment long term. But just to kind of even see that you wanted to play both sports, irrespective of whether or not Ringette was going to take you to a university perspective or like the Olympics, you were still willing to be invested in both of those spaces. So I think that's really awesome. And you did mention that in both sports, you play 2 different positions. Do you find that your mindset has to be different when you're playing both games, or?
I don't think so, because I'm also someone that like before games I can't be thinking about it too much, or I will psych myself out. So I like to just stay goofy. I like to stay myself until the second I step on the field or I step on the ice. So I think even though both positions that I play in each sport are very different, I still take that competitive mindset that, you know, like this is my spot and like I'm going to take it, you know?
Yeah. And that's so important. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because you did mention like the transition of kind of being like loosey-goosey to being this super competitive person. Anytime I've ever seen you play, whether it was kind of the Team Ontario last season, whether it be for your own team last season, I always would see you and be like, wow, this girl is like so zoned in, locked in, ready to go, ready to take on anybody that's literally standing in her way. So tell me, again, you've played some really big games, whether it be in ringette or in soccer. What's the process for you in terms of getting yourself prepared for a game? Are you into pep talks? Do you, I don't know, go like run around yelling? Like, what do you get yourself psyched up to go?
Yeah, so for warm-ups, I'm always in the back. I'm always someone that's like in the back, even when we're leaving the change room. I'm the last one to leave. I like to put my team first. So that's always just what I did. I always stayed in the back, but I had to be around someone who could be loosey-goosey with me, because not necessarily chatting about anything like outside of ringette, but just being able to not be so like zoned in that early for a game. At least for me, I couldn't be. But as soon as we were about to leave the change room, like I put my helmet on and I'm ready to go. And as soon as I hit the ice, I am focused. Like for warm up, I got to make sure I'm stabbing, passing, everything's ready. And sometimes like I even go on the boards by myself to like get myself really zoned in. But yeah, I have to be funny and goofy, and I like to sing in the change room and be loud. I'm a very loud, like I'm a leader all the time. And as soon as we hit the ice, like I like to lead by example. So, that's why for me, being on my game and really doing my part is important to me.
Yeah, that energy is important. And it really does play a big difference, I think, in terms of kind of influencing the vibe of the game and how your teammates are going to feel and the kind of decisions that they make. And I'm glad that you mentioned the leadership component, because I feel like no matter where you are, you always gravitate towards being the leader and being a top contender. Do you ever feel like an intense amount of pressure on you? I know in ringette, like the minute I started my position at Ringette Ontario, you were definitely one of the names that I was constantly hearing. And I know that must have put a lot of pressure on you. So how did you work? Like, what is it like dealing with that pressure? And do you kind of have any tricks towards kind of not allowing that to get to you?
Right. So growing up, I faced a lot of people who doubted me, and I always played underage, and I had some people that were amazing and really supported me. Like I know my parents, they fought through so much for me, and they're definitely like two people that really helped me through like getting through pressures, or people putting my name on a pedestal or something, because I never really thought of myself like that. But also for myself, like getting through that is just remembering that like I have a job just like everyone else on the team, and not taking too much on, but also not some games like forgetting what my job is. So I always wanted to go out every shift and give 110% and do what I could to make the team better.
Yeah. That's awesome. And you did bring up your parents, which I'm excited to kind of chat about, because we were speaking about that a little bit earlier. And actually for Father's Day, we have a Father's Day roundtable coming out for Ringette Ontario, where we've reached out to a few dads in the ringette community and their daughters to kind of tell us what that experience has been like for them. So can you share a little bit about what that's been like for you, having your parents so involved in the ringette process, whether it's on the bench or in the stands supporting you? What has that been like for you, and what has it meant to you?
So they've been my biggest fans all the way through. I'm sure like any parents are. But my dad, so he coached me when I was very little, like buddies, novice, like he was always on the ice, like always pushing me even when I was little. And then as I grew up, my mom was more so on the bench. So she coached in Laura Fergus, and she coached in Guelph. And even last year when I wasn't playing ringette, she got involved with the Guelph U16 AA team. So it really shows how much they really love the sport. And it's not just about me. It's more about the community. And I know with my sister, my mom coached as well. So they're both very passionate about ringette, and they have a lot of knowledge. And sometimes when I don't want to admit it, they're right. But yeah, like I wouldn't be where I am without them. So
yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's amazing. And I'm glad to hear that despite the fact that you're not necessarily directly involved in ringette anymore, that your parents are still willing to be a part of that space. I think volunteers are a game changer when it comes to sports like ringette. They literally make or break our environments, our teams, our sports. So kudos to mom and dad. So again, earlier we did mention that you are a varsity soccer player. You go to the University of Memphis. We were talking geography earlier. So that's I guess, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas City.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about the decision to commit to the University of Memphis. Why did you decide to go there over any other NCAA school, or maybe a soccer program in Canada? Why the University of Memphis?
So I visited, that was the very first school I actually visited, and I think I just fell in love right away. And the soccer there is amazing. The culture on our team is amazing. I feel like my competitiveness and my athleticism like fits right in there. And, you know, we do everything we can to be prepared. And I love that about our team. And the school as a whole is beautiful, and the academics are amazing. Our support staff are amazing. Like, our athletic academic advisor, like Ethan, he was amazing. And I'm honestly so happy with the decision I made. And obviously I miss home and I miss Ringette and stuff, but this new journey and this new path for me has been amazing. Like, I've met some great people, and I can't wait for the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That is so exciting. I actually know a few people who played NCAA sports, and they every single time tell me it was like the best decision of their life. They enjoyed the experience. And I think being a student athlete, no matter where you go, is always just like a one-of-a-kind experience. So let's also touch on that a little bit, because I think oftentimes being a student plus an athlete is a really big kind of weight to carry on your shoulders. Being a university student requires a lot of work, requires a lot of balance. So how have you kind of been figuring that out?
Yeah, so it's a commitment. Like, once you decide to be a student athlete, you really need to commit to it. Mm-hmm. I know for me, I had a calendar and everything. I wrote everything out. So I knew when I had training, when I had to go to study hall, when I had class, all that stuff. But the more you commit to it, the easier it is, because that lifestyle is what you choose, right? So you know, for me and my teammates, we know that there are sacrifices you have to make, but we're willing to do that because the rewards in the end are so worth it. Like, we were regular season champions. We got to host our conference tournament. Awesome. We got to be a part of the first round in the NCAA tournament. So those moments like are so worth giving up other things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's amazing. That's amazing. And so will you guys be heading back for this season as well?
Yeah, so I head back at the end of this month, and we do about a month of conditioning. So a lot of running, a lot of lifting. And then our season starts in August. So we need to be prepared for that. And yeah, as of now, we're playing August through November, and hopefully our season stays like that.
Yeah, fingers crossed. So what are you looking forward to, I guess, most this season? And what are you setting any goals for yourself? Like, maybe do you want to, I don't know, score a certain amount of goals, or like, are there any personal individual goals you're setting for yourself in addition to some team ones?
I think like I'm very excited for this season, and I think we have a great group of girls coming back, and I think we could do really well. But for me, I just want to be the best teammate I can be as well, while getting better as like individually. But as a team, I hope that we can win our conference this year and go past first round NCAA tournament. And I think we could do really well with the leadership. Mm-hmm.
That's exciting. What's the biggest team, or I guess school rival for the University of Memphis?
Out of conference is definitely Ole Miss. So that's right across the border in Mississippi. They're an SEC team. So they're a big school compared to us. Well, we're still, but yeah, so probably them. Our game against them had a lot of fans, and it was a great game. And then in conference, I'd say it's South Florida. They're very good. Also, Central Florida is very, very good.
Oh, okay, cool. So then, like you just mentioned, sometimes you'd have to play games against like big rivals. And then I think about you even having to play at the national championships for Ringette, playing at the Canada Winter Games, like just being in those kind of environments. Like, what does that mean for you as an athlete? What does that like do for you as an athlete? Because I think it's one thing to be like, okay, like I've played my regular season games, and obviously we have parents in the fan that are in the stands that are always cheering, but playing on these bigger stages, these bigger games, I feel like is a totally different like mindset, environment. Like what has that all of those games meant for you?
Yeah, I think for me, I think I play well under pressure like that. I love all the emotions. I love all that stuff. It gets me going. So for me, it's like talking about Canada Games or about our final against Laurentides. that environment, I think I feed off of sometimes as a competitive athlete. And those are the games like you live for. You know, if you think about in 20 years from now or 30 years from now, you're thinking about your ringette or soccer career or whatever sport you play. Those are the games you'll remember. And I know I'll never forget becoming a national champion and getting that gold stick and, you know, being a part of something that a team like I'll never forget. Like I will remember all those people for the rest of our lives. And I think those are like the most important things. Whether we won or not, like being a part of something like Canada Games where we got silver, but the fact that we got silver was just something, you know, you're going to cherish forever.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's amazing. Yeah. And so, again, we've been talking a lot about big games, mental components. How do you deal with error or mistakes whilst you play a game? So let's say you're playing ringette and you make a mistake or you miss a goal. Like, what is your mental process at that point, and how do you kind of bring yourself back to be able to focus on the game and do well?
Right. So for me, I think my composure really, after my first junior year, I think my composure really like grew from there. I became someone that could make a mistake and I wouldn't flail my arms or I wouldn't throw my stick. And I'm really proud of that because I used to be a very emotional player. But for me, I think I'd come off, I would sometimes sit down on the bench, I'd put my head down, I would talk to myself, kind of get myself through it.
Yeah.
But, you know, for some people, talking to the coach about it might help, or I wouldn't necessarily say talking to a teammate because you don't want to bring anybody else down. But for me, definitely, I used to tell myself, I can, I will, I'm going to. So those three little things like helped me a lot when, you know, I'd miss an open net or I'd miss a stab where I shouldn't have missed it because I was thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead of, you know, where I was in that moment. So that was definitely like a big thing for me.
Yeah, and that's really good advice. So what skills or traits have you learned from a sport like ringette that you can say you've been able to apply to your soccer career thus far?
I would definitely just say like the competitiveness that I have. Like I always want to win. Like I think I have learned how to win because of ringette and because of like soccer and those things carry into my regular life. Like I want to do the best that I can in school. I want to create projects or papers that are, you know, nothing less than what I think I can do. And like, even though both sports, I'm a very different position, like we've talked about, that willingness to put everything on the line to win, you know, like even if I'm not the person scoring the goals or whatever, as long as I do my part and like I'm throwing myself on the line, if someone else does that work, like that's a team win. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I completely understand, and I definitely agree. So Claire, another question for you. If there are athletes out there who are seeing you're an NCAA soccer player, you are one of the top ringette players, and they want a career like yours, they want to play high performance, what advice do you have for them?
I would say being willing to put the work in is really important, like especially in ringette. You know, it's everything no one else sees you doing, which is important. For me, I went to camps almost every week of the summer when I was a kid. I loved going to ringette camps, and I always would want to be like the Gadettes, or I'd want to be like the Nozzles because those are the people I grew up watching. Or my sister played with players like Kelsey Yulden, and I wanted to mimic their game through me. Like I wanted to be just as good as them. I wanted to be Team Ontario. I wanted to be Team Canada, just like any kid growing up now. And, you know, it's all about putting the work in and maybe like watching ringette. I believe watching my sister grow up was because I have used that to become the player I am, because I've seen players do all these moves and I've seen the like beautiful skaters that they are. And I always wanted to become that. So I think, you know, remembering what your goals are and always like working to achieve them is like it's a commitment for sure.
That's amazing. And we're going to get to watch some ringette today in just 10 short minutes. So really, really, really excited about that. All right, Claire, we are now going to get into the fun round. I know we've been talking a lot about goal setting and, mental capacity in terms of making sure that you're good on the ice or on the field, but we're going to get into some fun stuff to get to know you a little bit more. Is that cool?
Awesome.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
What is your favorite warm-up song? And is it the same song in soccer as it is in ringette?
For ringette, I always loved Pump It, the Black Eyed Peas.
Okay. Oh,
we would love that one. And I would say I listen to that one for soccer too.
Yeah, that's a good one. That'll get you going. I like that. Okay, so can you share a hobby that you picked up recently with us? Whether you picked it up like during COVID or maybe even a little bit before. Tell us about a new hobby.
Hobby. I have to say maybe biking.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're doing it frequently or?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. That's a lot better than.
I don't really know any other hobbies. I've been like, because I started school at the beginning of this month as well. So
right. So trying to balance that. You haven't been like baking bread? I feel like everybody on Instagram is like baking sourdough bread or banana bread. No? Okay, good for you. Because I've been caught up in that. It has consequences. Okay, so for you, breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and why? And which one? Breakfast. Okay, what's your favorite breakfast meal?
I will eat breakfast any hour of the day, and I love like eggs, bacon, hash browns, toast, everything. The whole thing.
You go all out? Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And then what's your favorite sports team of all time? Any sport?
Toronto Maple Leafs.
Why? Not that I
don't know. I love hockey. Like I love watching hockey.
Mm-hmm.
And in our family, it's Leafs every day, all day. We love the Leafs. Always watching the Leafs. And then I feel like hockey is a huge family sport.
I agree.
I can't talk for everyone, but I know for me, growing up, it was always Toronto Maple Leafs. So
yeah, that's fair. And so obviously, like you did mention, you have to go to school, but that's like you have to fly back for school, but that's school. But where's like one place you're gonna go to once things kind of open up and go back to normal? And I don't know what things are like in Tennessee. I feel like America's been opening up a little bit quicker than here. But what's the first thing that you're gonna do when we're allowed to do?
Honestly, just I think being with my friends and, not having to worry if there's, too many of us or we're too close to each other. Yeah. Like being with my friends and being able to go to the beach, I'd say I'm excited for that because it's something, I can't wait to do that. And yeah, like even just going to the mall or something like that, something simple.
Something super simple. And what is the one thing that you have learned since being or living in Memphis? Like whether it's about like one thing you've learned about Americans or about yourself, what is like one thing you've learned?
I probably learned how to like really manage my time and be organized because, you have roommates, but you're living alone. So I'd say just being so far away from home and not being homesick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one. But I feel like normally by the time you get to like your second year, you're kind of just cruising. You're adulting and you're like, home, what is that? I don't even miss it. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we've reached the end of Team Talk today. Thank you so much for joining me. I really enjoyed our conversation. Everything that you had to share. Really, 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 really thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome.
Of course, I really do appreciate it. And just want to wish you the best of luck with your season this year. We'll all be rooting you on from the ringette rink once we can finally get back. And really excited for you. So thanks again so much for joining me. And to everyone else that is currently tuned in, again, at 3:00, we will be airing the 2019 U19 National Championship Game where Team Ontario takes on PEI. Claire plays the game. It's a really exciting and fun game. We'll even get to see them celebrate. Spoiler alert, they won. So yeah, be sure to tune back here at 3 p.m. We will have the game on for you guys live. And yeah, that's it for me. Thank you so much, Claire.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much.
Hey, have a good one.
Bye.